Hey there, welcome to my YouTube channel. This channel is dedicated to helping home buyers and sellers understand the process of buying or selling a home. If at any point you get some value from this episode, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel to stay up to date. Enjoy the video.
So Eric, oftentimes when I'm talking with a lot of our clients who are coming in, we all start talking about real estate and realtors. That's a conversation that comes up fairly frequently at a closing table, is real estate services and what have you. What would you say as a realtor about the service you provide as far as the importance of having a realtor involved in a real estate transaction?
Having a realtor involved in a real estate transaction is crucial for a lot of different reasons. First of all, not just any realtor either, because let's face it, the real estate license itself is pretty easy to get. It's a 72-hour course. You can do it online, take the little test, and then go take your state exam, and next thing you know, you're dangerous, right? So I think there's somewhere about 1.5 million realtors in the state of Florida, and I think 500,000 of them are right around here in our area. So of course I'm joking, but there seems to be more real estate agents than liquor stores, churches, lawyers' offices, doctors' offices, so on and so forth. Who you hire matters. Who's done a good enough amount of work and had a decent amount of experience to know, first of all, what's going on in the market, right? So having a realtor in your transaction benefits everybody. Sellers, buyers, we're all on the same page. We're all working towards one common goal. There's a seller who wants to sell their home, a buyer who wants to buy a home. They need a roof over their head. The seller needs to go. Where do we come in? If we've got two parties who want to move in the same direction, why is a realtor needed? Well, realtors have access, and we spend literally 7 days a week, most of us, keeping our eye on the real estate market. Not just the local market, but the macroeconomic factors involved in what's going to affect the real estate market, the direction in which prices are going to go, the direction prices have been going over a certain period of time, in order to determine how to price a home, what's fair market value for a home, and how to go about getting a buyer, finding that buyer that wants to purchase the home for the seller. Once we get that taken care of, having the network, the experience, and the network of people like yourself. First International Title is I consider a great entity, a business to know or to be affiliated with, because I know that I can get answers to my questions. I know I can get quick responses and accurate information for my clients, for myself, whenever those questions arise. So being an experienced agent, I've had an opportunity to work with lots of different title agencies, lots of different lenders, lots of different home inspectors. So the realtor brings value not only in marketing and pricing a home, guiding sellers in what to expect in the process, but also in how to conduct themselves once a buyer is procured. So what comes after you get your home under contract? A buyer comes and offers you something for the house. What happens after that? What's the next step? So the realtor, in my opinion, somebody who is experienced, brings clarity to what I think could be really a confusing endeavor. Most people, I think, on average, buy or sell a home on average every 7 years. And every 7 years, that contract changes, the process changes, one thing or another changes. People can put themselves in a really bad position, especially since for the majority of us, our home is the biggest investment we'll ever make for the majority of the people in our society. If we're those of us who are lucky enough to be homeowners at one point in our life, that's the biggest investment we all make. It's an important decision. Something I wouldn't want to go alone if I didn't have the experience that I did. So a realtor, in my opinion, brings clarity, a process, and let everybody involved in the transaction know what their rights are, what to expect, and how to handle situations. Because very few real estate transactions I've been involved with have gone without a hitch. There's always a bump in the road, normally. and how to handle those bumps in the road. There's no such thing as a smooth road for the most part. How to know how to handle the bumps in the road, in my opinion, is extremely valuable, because those bumps can be expensive.
So when you're representing a seller then, and you have an offer coming in, because let's face facts, there are a lot of really good experienced agents and there's some who aren't. So how do you determine how solid an offer is that's coming in because you're acting as an agent for your seller? You want to make sure you're doing the best for him. How do you determine, because sometimes it's not always the highest price, is it, that determines what the best offer is?
Right. So there's price and there's terms, and it's something that, experience really helps in this area. Definitely, because in this day and age, if homes are priced right, with the amount of people moving to the area, the amount of people moving around in the area, there's often multiple offers on a home that's listed for sale. So how do you go through those offers to make sure that you're helping the seller to pick the best offer? Because again, it's not my decision as a real estate agent to pick an offer. It's my job as a real estate agent or realtor to advise the seller on the different components of the contract, of the offers that come in, and help them weigh one versus the other to make the best decision for them. And like you said, it's not always price. It's terms. Maybe a seller needs a little bit more time to close. They're moving out of state, or they're moving into another home. They may need 60 or 90 days rather than 30 or 45. So that's a factor that has to be taken in consideration on a case-by-case basis. Financing versus cash. Whether or not there's an inspection period, who's paying for title insurance policy, those types of things. So these are all parts of the different parts of the contract that need to be taken into consideration and weighed out. So when listing a home, of course, we want to get the price right. The marketing has to be on point. Once we start to get the offers, though, that's really where the rubber hits the road. You have to know how to determine if somebody is, say, looking to finance the home, what does the agent do in order to make sure that the lender has vetted the buyer well enough to know that they're going to be able to make it through the transaction without getting declined for their financing. Nowadays, desktop underwriting is relatively common for most local experienced lenders. With a pre-approval, they've already done their what's known as DU. So they've run through their verification of employment, checked their credit, checked their taxes, those types of things. When I get an offer with financing that'll be purchased with a loan, I will call the lender and make sure that the lender has gone through the proper...
So you actually talk to the lender to determine how they've gone through the pre-approval process. It's just not a pre-qual.
Yeah.
It's an actual, they've been approved for a loan at the point that you've received the offer, and it's pretty much good as cash dependent upon actually what the appraisal comes in at.
Absolutely. I'll make contact with the lender, and I'll ask them what they've done to vet the buyer so that I know. Send me the desktop underwriting report so I know, not that I look through it, that's a long report, but I want to know that the lender has gone through and really thoroughly vetted the buyer. And nowadays, with so much competition for every listing, buyers would be doing themselves a disservice to not use a local lender, to not use a lender who's going through and doing their diligence on the buyer to make sure that that buyer can actually fund the transaction.
So when you say experience kicks into, because then through experience who the lenders are, who can perform, do perform, who are experienced and knowledgeable in the field to make sure that, that deal, that offer is a good offer.
Yeah, my preference when I look for a lender is local, knowledgeable, reputable, all very important factors. No, local, because I want to know that I can get in touch with these people if I have a problem. I want to know that I can get in touch with that lender during the course of the transaction if there's an issue that arises.
So what we're seeing now often come up is I guess they call it the appraisal gap.
Mm-hmm.
You want to explain that? How do you cover that in an offer, or once you get the approval, but maybe the appraisal is a little soft? What do you do in those sort of things?
That depends on your buyer. does the buyer have the cash to close the gap between the appraised value and the purchase price, and what will come up then? As a listing agent, of course, that's something we have to take into consideration. Getting 3, 4, 5 offers, or as many as 15 to 30 offers on homes over the past 18 months. It's been certainly interesting times. But there's, over the last 18 months, I've seen what's known as escalatory clauses come around, where I'd never seen them before. Out of 10 years, over the past 18 months, we've seen escalatory clauses, buyers offering to cover X amount of dollars over the appraised value. A lot of times with the homes selling for the prices they're selling at right now, as a listing agent, often I'm swinging swinging for the fences on every single, listing, because we really just don't know what the market's going to yield. We can look at the past 6 months of sales of homes that are comparable to that home, but that's what I call, what's known as a lagging indicator. We have to look at the trajectory of that those last 6 months and how steeply the values of the homes are going up. So if an appraisal comes in short because the appraiser is going in and looking at the last 6 months data but not taking into account, and appraisals can come in, you have 5 different appraisers for the same house and you get 5 different values. So appraisals can come in a lot of different ways. What the buyer is capable of doing in order to cover the gap if the appraisal comes in low is certainly something that we have to take into consideration on a case-by-case basis. So a lot of times we'll see buyers offer to waive their appraisal contingency no matter what. So they say, it doesn't even matter, we'll have an appraisal done, but that number doesn't matter. We're gonna cover the gap between the loan amount and the purchase price. Or they'll offer to cover X amount of dollars over the appraised value to make sure that the home still sells for contract price up to the contract price.
So when you're out on a listing presentation, I know most sellers or homeowners, and I would be like anybody else, I'm usually thinking, how much can I get and how quick can I get it? So with the prices going up so quickly, it's just like, I have no idea what my house is worth anymore. I mean, I couldn't even begin to tell you. How do you determine what the existing comps are versus, what you can actually get for a property? Because I'm seeing some just crazy sort of list prices that are actually being paid. And I'm seeing some list prices where they are crazy and it's acknowledged by the market that they're crazy, that they just sit there. So I just wonder, how do you determine what a fair market value is anymore? What sort of process do you go through internally in your head to determine what this house actually is worth?
Well, it's an interesting question, because certainly now are interesting times with the rate at which, I think St. Lucie County has been, I think we showed a 23% year-over-year increase in the average home value. That's unheard of. I mean, that's just unprecedented. So we, as agents, we're taught to take in, in a normal market, you'd look at the last year's worth of sales of homes that are comparable in size, construction, number of bedrooms, bathrooms, amenities such as a pool, corner lot, waterfront, those types of things. Also, have any large, big ticket items been done recently? Like, has the roof been replaced within the past year or so? Has the AC been replaced? Those are the more expensive components of a home. So as far as pricing is concerned, we're obviously looking at what the trends are in a particular area. We get very granular on the parameters of the home, like I mentioned, the construction, number of bedrooms, bathrooms, so on and so forth. But we have to try and also look at what the macroeconomic trends are. For instance, here in St. Lucie County and even Martin County, we have a lot of people coming down from New York, New Jersey, up in New England, from California as well, also from Miami-Dade and Broward counties. In all those places, homes are more expensive there than they are here. So we're able to get these higher prices for our sellers right now because of the people coming to our area from areas that have historically higher real estate prices. So knowing how to price a home is 70% of the battle, in my opinion. Marketing, reaching as many eyeballs as possible, almost as equally important. But the price is a huge part. Prior to, say, January 2020, my strategy would be to price homes at about 95 to 98% of what I actually thought they were worth. And what that would do was that would be, in a regular market, you'd still get competition for buyers, and you'd get buyers competing against each other in order to basically get into what most people hate to hear is a bidding war, right? But if I'm representing a seller, it's my job to get the highest price as quickly as possible, and I can't think of a better way to do that than to create a bidding war. In this market, we can price properties so much higher than we normally would think that we could, and we are getting the numbers.
The premiums.
We're getting prices for homes that I would have told you at one point were totally unheard of. So to do that, of course, there is still such thing as an overpriced home, right? So right now, people are selling their homes are just at times trying for just totally unrealistic numbers.
So I would say then, as another reason to use a realtor then is to really make sure that you're getting your home value price right when you go to list, because like in my case, I don't know what my house is worth. I think I could easily underprice my home by $100,000 easy. Using a realtor though, they would come in and they would show me where they get more and how they're going to market that property to ensure that they get that kind of money for it.
A good experienced local real estate agent is going to help you make sure you don't leave money on the table. And at the same time, not put your house on the market and have it sit. Because ultimately what happens is that if you do overprice your home when you go to sell it, statistically you'll end up selling it for less money than you would have otherwise. A lot of times when I'm talking to somebody about listing their house, they're telling me that, well, we want to price it at X and leave room to work down. In my opinion, I think that that's a mistake, because you'll end up working down and lowering your
So a stale listing is actually going to, in the long run, going to get you less money.
The longer you leave your home on the market, the less money you're going to get for it. So the best results usually come right up in the front, right up in the first, 2 to 4 weeks of
Do your sellers ever consider their holding costs when they're taking a look at all this as far as...
It's a point that I bring up. Of course, you've got your mortgage and all your utilities and insurance and everything else that you have to think about every month. And every month that you hang on to the property that you want to sell it is a reduction in the bottom line of which the seller is going to derive at the end of the transaction. So there's something that definitely needs to take.
There's a tipping point then on the list prices to where more doesn't necessarily get you more.
I agree. Yes, definitely.
That less will get you more.
Yes, exactly. So even in this market, there is such thing as an overpriced listing, and they will sit. They will sit. Buyers are at a point right now where they're just, in my opinion, feeling like, enough is enough. There's only a certain amount of money that everybody, the median, average home buyer can afford. Interest rates are low, which works in everybody's benefit. But pricing a home high, astronomically high, unreasonably high, will eventually ultimately result in a lower sales price.
We call that fishing, I think.
Yeah, fishing. Sounds right. Sounds right. So
with no bait on the hook.
That's right. It's important to hire local, knowledgeable, reputable professionals if you're going to sell your home. Not just a realtor, but title agency. Make sure that the lenders that you're vetting for the potential buyers for the home, they're local as well. I've had some really bad experiences in the past with lenders who are not in the area, using appraisers that are not from the area as well. So
insurance companies, insurance agents. Insurance is becoming a big deal now.
Insurance is a huge deal right now. Absolutely. If your roof is over 15 years old, you're having a hard time. Down in Palm Beach counties, they're not having a hard time finding. They're having a hard time finding insurance agents or insurance carriers who will write policies.
So Eric, in conclusion, any words of wisdom you would like to throw out to the market, to sellers, buyers, maybe how you differentiate yourself and how you're a good guy to work with.
I am a good guy to work with. However, right now, if you are considering selling your home, of course, the rumors are true. What you're hearing is not a lie. Not just, realtor cliche, now's a good time to sell. Reason being is that the Treasure Coast and Palm Beaches are hot right now. There's a lot of people coming to this area for lots of different reasons. A lot of people shifting around. Interest rates are still low. What does that mean for somebody who's looking to sell their home? It means that buyers have more purchasing power. So as interest rates being historically low as they are now, there's more money to be spent on the principal of a loan, which means that buyers can afford more house. What does this do for somebody who's looking to sell? Gets you top dollar. It gets you, the buyers have the ability to pay a little bit more than they would have 3 or 4 years ago when interest rates were higher. So, like I always say, hire local, hire knowledgeable, hire reputable, and I can be reached at 561-339-1344.
Well, that was great, Eric. I can tell you as a title insurance settlement agent that we've worked quite a bit with Eric. He always does a very good job for his clients. He's always very communicative with us and with the people he works with. Very knowledgeable, very reputable, knows the area of real estate extremely well. So I can tell you that you'd be in good hands if you were to work with Eric.
Thank you, Chip.
Thanks for watching the show today. Make sure you hit those like and subscribe buttons if you got any value from it, and hit the bell icon so you'll know when the next episode comes out. Put your questions in the comment section below, and please let me know if there's anything else you'd like me to cover. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you next time.